back. Yeah.
Just snap it. You guys, hey, we're on. Good day, good afternoon, wherever it is you might be. Happy Thursday. This is Run It Back. Look I wore bright colors again. Chandler tried. Boogie's never going to do it. So, Boogie Cousins, Chandler Parsons, Michelle Beadle, and a surprise. Isiah Thomas is here.
Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame.
Oh, I like this. We got a whole vibe.
Hey.
What's up? How are you?
I am good. How you doing?
Oh, we're fantastic. We are happy to have you here. You're also coming in on a fun trade news morning reaction. So I guess we're going to get right to it. We're going to get your opinion on all of this. So this is going to be good. If you didn't pay attention last night, there was a little bit of a trade happening mid-game, as a matter of fact. Trae Young, officially a Washington Wizard. CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert, friend of the show, heading down to Atlanta. I'm going to start. I'm going to start with Isiah because he is here. I want to know your reaction watching Trae sort of walk away from the bench. Kind of awkward moment, no?
It's very awkward and, very, in my opinion, very unprofessional to trade a player like that during the middle of the game. It happens. But, I just think the Players Association right now, they need to get a better handle on how trades are made, how humane the treatment is for the player, and also for the teams. A lot of times the players are finding out via shams, or someone in the audience will know before they do. They have family. These are human beings, and they're a lot of times we like to use the words assets, but, let's not forget, that these are human beings with family, and there needs to be some parameters around when and how a trade is announced, and there needs to be some protocols that are developed, and the Players Association needs to get a little bit more heavy-handed around that.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's got to be some level of balance and mutual respect between owners and front office and players, but I'd say when you look at this trade, are you shocked that there wasn't at least a couple picks, one pick at the value? Should the Hawks have done this a couple of years ago when his value was maybe higher? Like, why now for CJ and Corey?
The player, in the organization, they wanted to part ways. And when it's known public like that they want to part ways, you and Boogie know that the trade value goes down. And also, if they'd have made this trade a couple of years ago, they definitely would have got more for it. But the way the Hawks are playing without Trae, they're a little taller. They have a little bit more size, and they're definitely a much better defensive team without him. So it made the trade possible. I think CJ brings a lot of veteran experiences to that Hawks team. And I think Trae gets a chance to go to Washington and kind of build what he wants to build there and see if he can replicate what he did in Atlanta. Because when he got to Atlanta, it was a franchise that wasn't doing well. Took them all the way. I think they went to the Eastern Conference Finals one year. But since then, it's kind of been downhill.
Yeah.
Boogie, you guys, you're watching the same thing we're all watching, but you've lived that life. Like, what was your reaction seeing how it went?
I didn't like it. More so.
Wait, before you talk, Boogie, let me just tell you, man, I love you. I'm sending you a big ass hug. That is my dog.
Appreciate you, OG.
Okay, then.
But I didn't like it. I'm piggybacking off of OG. It should be more of a mutual respect. He's done a lot for that organization with the 8 years that he was there. 4-time All-Star, took him to a conference finals. I just feel like, much more respect was due to this kid and the situation that's happening in front of him. But I don't think it's the worst situation.
For everyone or for specifically Trae?
Specifically for Trae. I could care less about this Hawks organization. I thought he should have left 2 years ago. I've spoke on it time and time again that I wanted him to get out of that situation before, all the blame was shifted towards him and they start trying to drag his name through the mud. So I saw this situation brewing, but I do have faith that he has better basketball days ahead. This isn't the worst situation. He gets a fresh start. He gets to, start with a new situation, a new group, a new young up-and-coming group. And I think, the plans moving forward, it'll be a better situation basketball-wise for him. So I don't think this is the worst situation, but I didn't like the way it was handled.
Yeah, and I always said that I think Trae Young is going to be best when he's a second or third option. That's not going to happen in Washington. So that's my only concern. It's kind of a lateral move for him. He's going to go there. He's going going to put up big numbers. They do have some pieces. They do have an opportunity to get a really good pick this year and kind of that fresh start like you were just talking about where he can go there, be the face of the franchise. Atlanta moves on from him, now makes Jalen Johnson the franchise. They add a vet guy like CJ. Now there's talks, do they go after Anthony Davis? So I think it works for both. I do think Washington, though, not having to get up any picks at all for
They won this trade.
for a superstar.
That felt weird, yeah?
I can't not think that Washington won this trade.
You cannot.
No, they did.
They didn't?
No, they did win the trade.
Oh, I was going to say, I was like,
they
wait,
absolutely
did?
won.
Yeah,
Well,
I like this for Washington. And now
Take a
you
minute
add
there.
trade to that core and that group with the top 5 pick, and you can go and grab like an AJ. Like now they're on to something.
Look, I know a lot was said yesterday, and obviously you want to put people in the best light, right? So you've got Trae Young out there being like, or Sham's reporting it anyways, that he wants to be in Washington and all that. Now there's a lot of money stuff that's going to come into play, whether or not he stays in Washington. Does he play this season? Do they sit him this season? Do they worry about their pick?
Yeah.
Like what are we thinking is about to happen in that?
See, it sounds kind of backwards. I don't think he plays much this year, and I
Okay.
think they have to lose. If they're not top 8, they lose their pick. They can get a really good pick. This draft is pretty deep. When you look at Peterson and Boozer and AJ, like they want the highest pick possible. And then starting next year, they're thinking playoffs, like with that core and with that group. So it's interesting because he's got the $49 million
True.
option. I can see them extending him. They're not going to make this
Absolutely.
trade for no reason. So I can see him being there long term. What I found was interesting is him saying he wanted to be in Washington. Like,
You had to say that, right? Kinda?
did he want to be there, or do you want to be there because they wanted him there? Like that, I don't know. But he's there now, and I think it's going to be a solid move.
You want who wants you.
Exactly.
Is there anything wrong with that?
No.
Not at all.
I think Washington is, to me, it's one of the places that if you can get it going there in that city, it's very similar to, one of the bigger cities, no different than LA or Chicago. If you can get it going in DC, they got all the trimmings, so to speak. They got a good fan base. You sit right next to the White House. You got all the political power. Business-wise, everything happens there in that city. So it's a place that should be one of the premier hubs in the NBA. I know from a player standpoint it is in terms of socialization, but it's a place that if you can get it going, you can really turn the water on there. And I think, Trae may be the guy to do it.
Yeah, it's not the worst place to go.
Is he still a franchise guy?
I think so.
Okay.
I think this is a guy that's still in the midst of his prime. I mean, he spent 8 years in Atlanta. He 4-time All-Star. It's not like he's being traded because he was injured or whatever the case may be. He's literally in the prime of his career. Still has, like I said, I still think his best days of basketball are still ahead of him. So
Okay.
I like this situation for Washington. I think they won this trade. The fact that you could pick up a franchise point guard, I would say as of right now in today's game, he's still a top 10 point guard. You were able to pick up a 4-time All-Star for basically expiring contracts, no picks involved, anything. So I think the Wizards won this trade, and like we keep saying, I think this is a step in the right direction for this Wizards organization.
Yeah, and like I said, I think Trae is better, obviously, on a good team with good teammates. That's not going to happen immediately in Washington, but again, just a fresh start. I played with him in Atlanta, and I thought 3 years ago he was going to get moved. Like this has been kind of on his mind, not a distraction, but there's been talks about this for years. So the fact that he can just move on from this, there's no doubt the kind of career he had there. He's one of the greatest Hawks players of all time. If you look at his resume,
Sure.
his numbers. He's up there, and I hope that stays that way. I hope he's still loved when he goes back there. I looked at their schedule. They go back. They have a back-to-back in Atlanta, like February 24th and 26th. So that'll be fun. But
Will it?
I'm happy for him just to move on and get out of there, and now hopefully build something special with that young core in Washington.
God, that's a quick turnaround. I have to go back for
Quick.
back-to-back. Isaiah, I got to ask you about the small guards. Like, when you watch this game and you're watching every night and you're talking about it, where do you see the future, or do you see a future for the small guard in this league?
There's definitely a future for the small guard because if you know how to play, it doesn't matter really what size you are. This is a league where we've had everyone from a Muggsy Bogues to be successful to a Magic Johnson at 6'9" to be successful. And it's not about the size of the player. It's really about, do you understand how to play the game? And the way we look at the game of basketball today, we break it down numerically, where we only talk about the stats. But then there's another part of the game where we talk about systems and schemes and a knowledge level that gives everyone a chance to play. And it gave me a chance to play. And not only did it give me a chance to play, but it gave me a chance to elevate. So I don't necessarily look at size. I look at, can you really play, and do you understand the game? Now, the way the game is communicated to the fans, it's only communicated numerically. But there's, there's language that comes with the game. There's schemes, there's systems, there's understanding of your teammates. There's, the game has been simplified, for the fan to understand. So we say the game has changed, but I don't think the game has changed. It's become, less complex. It's not as complex as it used to be. So can a little guy now come in and still play and dominate? Absolutely, because the game is now judged from the three-point line, and this is where the small player has the advantage at the three-point line. Hey, you sitting there talking to a guy that I really respect a lot in Boogie Cousins in terms of his career. And when he was able to, shoot the three ball as well as he was shooting it, they were telling the big man you had to play inside. And then when he was like inside, then the game changed. They said, no, we want our big people to play outside. And he's like, well, I can do that too. And so, the game, the simplification of the game, I think favors the smaller player, and I think it really hurts the center position. I think it really hurts the bigger guys right now. So with smaller guys, the way the schemes are ran and the way coaches coach, smaller people will always have the advantage because the three-point line is like, that's what everybody lives for now.
Now, what about defensively on the other side?
Hold on, we're not rushing through this. Two things. I got to tell you, when you're complimenting Boogie and turn to Boogie and he's just so stoic, I'm like, can you smile? The man's saying beautiful things. But number two.
Also, Isiah, I'm right here. Can you say something nice? Can you say something nice about me, Legends?
You just so happen to be sitting next to Boogie.
Just a bad beat for me.
I do have favorites.
Okay, that's fair.
I understand.
So do we.
I understand. But we've been talking about it all week, Isiah. Like, what about defensively? When you have a guy like Trae Young who's small, like Blake Griffin said, they're kind of getting phased out, or a Luka, is it the front office's job to add guys around them, or do they just have to play harder and give more effort on the defensive end? How does that work?
Well, when you talk about smaller guys defending, right? You have some that can and you have some that can't, right? And I think the smaller guy will always have the advantage on the perimeter because he should be quicker than the bigger player. And the bigger player who has to put the ball on the ground, you're getting closer to where I'm at. So anytime you put it down there, I'm harassing you. Now, what has happened in the NBA is the smaller player has not been required, key word, he hasn't been required to defend the way he used to defend.
Right.
And if you look at a Davion Mitchell in Miami, and they're making him defend, but he likes to defend. So he's a terror out on the perimeter. You look at what's happening in Phoenix right now, that you got a coach who's requiring the perimeter players to get up and defend. And, when smaller players, because we should be more quicker and more agile out on the perimeter, it gives us an advantage. Now, when a guy like Kevin Durant is out on the perimeter and he can shoot as well as he can,